You don't truly know what you're going to experience. I can tell you about my experience, but one thing I do know is that you're going to come home excited to go to church, excited to continue growing in your faith.
Just the community that Crossroad fosters, like it just makes you want more of that. And so because of that, like you want to go to the OCF, you want to go to college conference, and you want to go to all these other things. We might be the closest thing somebody gets to Christ. How do you then take that responsibility on and be that mirror image?
We have a very special program to bring to you today called Crossroad, and it turns 20 years old in 2024. Our special guests, I'll introduce them to you right now. Deb Colitas is the Director of Communications and a Crossroad mom. Deb is a convert to Orthodoxy from over 20 years ago and is a member of the St. Nicholas Orthodox Cathedral in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. She's been with Crossroad since 2022 and is very excited to talk about the Crossroad Summer Program, turning 20 years old, as I said today, and the impact of the program on our youth and why parents need to know more about this summer exciting program. Calli Colitas is a Crossroad alum from 2021 and the daughter of Deb. Calli attended Crossroad in the summer of 2021 in Boston between her junior and senior year of high school. Calli came home completely invigorated in the Orthodox faith with new, meaningful friendships and a great sense of God's purpose. Calli is currently a sophomore at Messiah University in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, active in the OCF and attending Holy Apostles OCA in Mechanicsburg. And our third guest is Sophia Lahaki. She attended Crossroad in 2017 and now lives in Mondalean, I think I got that right, Mondalean, Illinois, and is a senior associate for a finance firm. Welcome, ladies. Great to have you on the program today.
So glad to be here. Thank you, Father, for having us.
Deb, let me start with you. Explain for us, what is the Crossroad Institute for those who may not know about it?
Absolutely. So the Crossroad Institute is a 10-day Orthodox academic institute. If you think about like AP classes, it's like Orthodoxy AP in the most wonderful setting of, we have 2 sessions in Boston, 1 in Chicago and 1 in Northern California outside of San Francisco. And it meets the life and purpose at a crossroad of 11th and 12th graders in high school because they are thinking about what's next. And what's next can be a little bit stressful. And as a parent, what's next can be a little bit stressful. So within this 10 days of time, they get to be together in an intense environment of other peers their age of the Orthodox faith, and from all different cultural and ethnic backgrounds. This is pan-Orthodox, and just it's so cool to see it come together. So through a curriculum with a lot of fun attached to it. But let me tell you, our students are in the city, ropes course, beach, museums, different churches and cultural experiences within the Orthodox faith, so that by the end of that 10 days, the focus on vocation and how that relates to the faith is just in the forefront of their mind of excitement for all that God has ahead for them.
Well, I'm 70, and I kind of wish this program existed when I was a junior and senior. But anyway,
I think I need it now sometimes, Father. Let's send us somewhere. Yes, absolutely.
But let me ask you this: how did you find out about the Crossroads Summer Program, and why was it important to you for your children to attend?
So upon marrying my husband, who is Greek Orthodox from cradle, and me discovering, okay, no, this is my home and this is the completion of my faith. You know, there's this magical thing called the church bulletin board. And every single year I just saw this poster that changed. And, you know, there were these happy, smiling teenagers and things. So as my kids were getting older and they wonderfully participated, whether it was Sunday school, Bible school, the camp with the Archdiocese program, which is always fantastic, I was like, all right, what's that next that helps them clinch the faith as their own? Because up to a certain point as parents, we're driving them, we're directing their social calendar, we're wanting to, you know, put them where we feel is best, but there has to be the point where faith becomes their own. And I viewed Crossroad as this opportunity to gain, you know, 10 days of stepping back as a parent and letting them step forward with the phenomenal curriculum, the staff, and just the deep-seated just planning that goes on behind the scenes to provide this unique opportunity for them. And certainly with Calli and her younger brother who attended this past year, it was just transformational in seeing how they came home on their own. I'm not the one calling them, say, hey, what are you doing with your faith this week? Or what are you doing? They've got that covered. And that's just so exciting to see your children independent, because that's what's going to allow them success in their life, in their faith.
Well, you partially answered that question, but let me go a little
Yes,
bit
please.
deeper. From dropping off your children now, two of them,
Yes.
to attending, to picking them up, what did you see that changed?
It was a moment of them trusting me, thankfully, of all right, mom's sending us somewhere. It looks fun. Let's see what happens. To coming home and wanting to teach me. And that was a new experience. And you'll have to ask Calli about her journal and what the journal is. And I'm sure also Sophia can talk about the journal. Is I think it took Calli a total of 7 hours to get through the journal with us of explaining everything that was going on. And then my son, God love him, he is not the academic, but he's the one that came back saying, oh, I got to go right to church. I need to talk to Father Alexi. We need to get more speakers in here. We need to, when he had the list of the check marks of all the things that were going to, make our church the next level up with things. So it was an energy that can only be explained by the invigoration of the Holy Spirit and our faith in what they came home with.
So then let me ask you this. Your advice to parents who have teenagers when considering Crossroad, what could you tell them to strengthen them as well?
Teenagers are finicky things, right? One
Sure
day,
are.
all excited. Yes, mom, I listen to anything you have to say. And then the next day is like, oh, no, I have something that's more important. And so as parents, we're in this battle of independence versus direction. And these are the moments where I encourage other parents, take this still as a moment of direction. Even if your child is 100% already excited for it, see how it can be their journey. And if they're not excited for it, this is a moment for you to say, hey, look, we've had 17, 18 years together. This is one of those last moments where as mom, dad, whoever else is, we want you to have this experience. After that, we can talk about what's next, but let's do this together because this is for you. Because we have phenomenal stories of alumni that they were like dead set against going. We have one young alumni. He says the story now. He's like, yeah, the threat of the car was being taken away from me if I didn't go. And now he's one of our leaders on our alumni advisory board. And so there has never been an instant where a teenager who's been like, I don't know about this, has then come home not completely, enthusiastic and changed by the experience.
When I was president of Hellenic College Holy Cross, I got to see this program close up, sort of saying how the sausage is made. And let me ask you this very important question, because I don't think people realize the seriousness and the study that goes behind preparing this program to reach these young people now, as you said, across the nation. Behind the scenes, what do we need to know?
The moment Crossroad 2023 stopped was when Crossroad 2024 preparation began. Even though we only occupy a short time of the summer, we have a full staff that is completely dedicated to this process from beginning to end. From the application process, where we ask our students to write an essay and submit a transcript, it's also not that we can pick them apart and choose, oh, they're going or not going, but rather, how can we get to know them so that when they land, the staff and directors already have an idea of who is there. That is very purposeful because 10 days is not a long time. So how do we invigorate relationships and authentic relationships from the start? On top of that, it then is a very carefully crafted, who am I, who is God, and who is my neighbor? Those are the 3 investigative questions that our staff are trained in pedagogical practices within the Orthodox faith, teenage issues, things that they're going through and dealing with. We started with our staff in the beginning of January with a week-long retreat. They now get weekly trainings and updates. And then we also have, of course, is our faculty. And our faculty is that everyone is you know, someone within the Orthodox faith who is already teaching at a academic level. And so it just brings it to a difference. And that's not to say anywhere else is better or worse. Rather, it's just the intense environment that these students are getting ready for what's next, be it vocation, college, trade school, you know, going into the workplace, a year off. This is then that environment that allows them to have exploratory conversations successfully, so that it is high intense learning, but it is relationship based in the faith, in one another, and then what's possible and what's next.
Okay, so before I go to Calli and Sophia, let me ask you one final question.
Yes.
Why is it so special for Crossroad Summer Program to be turning 20 years old this year?
It is incredible to think that we're about 2 to 3 years away from a Crossroad applicant having a parent who was a Crossroad participant. So to see something generationally develop here in the United States in the Orthodox community that serves the entirety of the Orthodox community is something really special and to be proud of what God has allowed us to do. Dr. Ann Bezaridis, the founder of the program, and she had this idea as part of, I believe, as she was in their master's program at Holy Cross, and was like, you know what, there's something missing. There needs to be a, you know, bridge that gets our teenagers into that young adult phase. And, you know, brilliantly worked with, you know, others in the faith and within the church to have something that's super special. And right now we are up to over 1,200 alumni. We're going from one 10-day program that housed 28 kids to now having 4 each summer that house up to 32 each. So we are now building this tremendous, you know, cloud of witnesses that are excited to be in their churches, who are now come on, and they now are even priests and presbyteras and, you know, working in the faith, or they're engineers and pilots and, you know, teachers and moms and dads. So it's really special to see we've got this full arc going. And you talk to any alumni and immediately there's a spark and there's something in common. So yeah, it's just a really great special feeling. And I'm just privileged that I can, you know, say that my children went and that now I'm a part of making sure we're reaching the masses within the Orthodox community.
All right, well, let's go now to speak to some young people who actually have gone through the program. And I think this is an important part. Calli and Sophia. Calli, I'll come to you first. A couple of questions which you've probably answered at this Crossroad program, but what is vocation and how did Crossroad impact your understanding of it?
So vocation is the idea that whatever you end up doing, whether that's a job or being a mom or wherever you end up, it's the purpose is to see how you can best serve God. And so Crossroad had really impacted that because, well, up until that point, I didn't even know like vocation was really a word. And so then upon getting to Crossroad, hearing like an actual terminology for like wanting to do something to serve Christ, that was a change in of itself. And then from there, it was just helping me figure out, like, knowing that college was the next step, what can I then be looking at to know what I want to do within serving Christ.
Sophia, let me come to you. How was your life impacted as a result of participating in Crossroad?
Yeah, I truly did not know what vocation was going into Crossroad. I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. I just gravitated toward accounting because that's what I was used to. My dad's an accountant. And so just growing up filing and like, you know, entering numbers for him sometimes, it just seemed like this is what we're going to do. And going to Crossroad and learning that I can do accounting, I can do finance, I can do anything and still have a connection to Christ, a connection to the church, and that my vocation is unique to myself and it's ongoing. And so when I got to college, I was like, how can I still do something like business related, but keep myself grounded in my faith, continue to be involved in church activities, and all the things that shaped me. And so throughout college, I helped with our college student group at my home parish. And so keeping them connected and making sure we have events for them when they come home, but still being able to be in the business field and kind of have the best of both.
Okay. You know, these summer camp programs and Crossroad programs, I hear stories, sometimes literally horror stories from parents who tell me, what did they do to my kids? And I said, what do you mean what did they do to your kids? They come home and they want to go to church, where before I had to kind of get them out of bed. It was tough to do. So I know that Crossroad has encouraged engagement in parishes and other Orthodox ministries. So Calli, let me come to you and ask you that question point on. How did this program encourage you?
Yes. So one of the great things about Crossroad is that it kind of introduces you into the 80 bajillion other Orthodox things that come next. And so whether that be OCF or college conference, the Orthodox Volunteer Corps, all of that stuff. So being the other thing too is like just the community that Crossroad fosters, like it just makes you want more of that. And so because of that, like you want to go to the OCF, you want to go to college conference, and you want to go to all these other things that are available to you. So for me, it was definitely an introduction to what was going to be coming next, especially since it was right before my senior year. And then upon getting to college, it was, okay, I'm going to join the OCF. I'm going to go to college conference and all of these other things.
Very good. Now that's great. Sophia, how about coming back to you for a second? What would you tell a potential applicant, one reason why they should apply?
I think that the answer I really want to say is it's going to change your life. And just they're kind of like, what? Like I tell a lot of my senior Goyans that I work with, like, you need to apply and just keep an open mind, because you don't truly know what you're going to experience. I can tell you about my experience, but what you experience could be totally different. But one thing I do know is that you're going to come home excited to go to church, excited to continue growing in your faith.
Very good. And Calli, I'll come to you for one final question before I go back to Deb, so she can tell us where people can get more information about Crossroad. Calli, what is the one lesson from Crossroad experience that you'll always want to remember?
Honestly, just be kind. One of the things that there were just a few activities throughout the entire week, whether it was simply with our group or like other people just out in the city and other things like that. And it's just one of those things where like you see just the simplicity of what kindness and even a simple smile can do for people. And how we might be the closest thing somebody gets to Christ. And so with that, it's how do you then take that responsibility on and be that mirror image of God? And so with that, it would definitely just be being kind.
Well, the Lord knows this world needs more kindness today, Calli, that's for sure. Deb, let me come back to you for a closing remark. How can we, those of us watching this program, how can we learn more about Crossroad, and how do we send our kids?
Absolutely. That's a fantastic question. The best place to go is to our website, crossroadinstitute.org. Wonderfully, that's a plethora of information. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. The biggest thing right now is to understand our application cycle every year. So when we open up applications towards the end of the year prior, we have an early application deadline, we have a regular application deadline, and then we have an extended application. What this means is that if you get in the early application deadline, you're getting pretty much your first choice on location and dates. The regular application deadline means, all right, we're securing you a spot, we're all good. Then what we're in right now, as we're filming this, is the extended application. We know that we still have spots left in San Francisco and Chicago. So if you have an 11th and 12th grader in high school, head to crossroadinstitute.org. We encourage you to fill out that application. Join us in San Francisco and Chicago, because what this is a rolling application. So we accept as we go, and then we shut it down when it's full. So we want every single seat filled, because that's our joy as a ministry and an academic institute. So we can't wait to meet the next round of a wonderful alumni.
Very good, very good. Well, ladies, I want to thank you very much. And I want to give thanks to God for this program, Crossroad, and give thanks to God for Dr. Ann Besaridis, who I know very well. She has been inspired to create this program with her team. You're all to be congratulated, and I hope and pray that every parent will seriously consider introducing this program to their juniors and seniors in their life. God bless you all.
Thank you, Father.